Here with Dynasty Owner for our weekly video breakdown. Today we're going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Before I jump into it, something that I mentioned in my last article at the very end. Today we're going to talk about Chase for the Ring. So at the end of my article, I think most of you probably know what Chase for the Ring is. If you're new to Dynasty Owner, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview. Chase for the Ring is the ultimate prize in Dynasty Owner. So there's many unique aspects when it comes to this format. This is probably my favorite, just because it gives everyone that plays a chance at style ring. So what it is Chase for the Ring. It's a season-long contest where the league champion with the most season-long points wins the contest. So you have to win your league championship, and you have to have the most points of any of those league winners, all over any league. So that sole winner is going to take home a Super Bowl style custom ring encrusted with real diamonds and rubies. Approximate weight is about $10,000. Approximate value is $10,000. So pretty good grand prize, huh? The odds of winning are obviously low with everybody competing for it, every single person in Dynasty Owner, even people for love of the game leagues. But somebody has to win, so why not you? Here's a few tips that I thought of whenever I was making this article. If you plan on joining Eddie and Victor as the next Chase for the Ring champion. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest that you do these to your teams. This is obviously win now, 1 year approach. It can pay off handsomely if you do end up winning the ring, but if you don't, you might be setting your team back a few years. So this is a very low value way of playing, but obviously a high reward chance as well. So the main goal is going to be to pack your team with as many points as possible. That seems like a given, but there's a few ways you can go about doing it. The first way, you can have a little more of a balanced team. So you're trying to get the most points out of both your starters and your bench. It's a good way to play. It's a good value way to play. It's the way that I like to play. You're setting yourself up for success in the future when you have a roster that's deep. What I will say, though, is the person that's going to win the championship is probably not going to employ that strategy. He or she is probably going to have a roster that not completely, but for the majority punts bench scoring. And when I say punting, I mean trading away some of those good rounding out players on your team. You're trading away those players to make your starting lineup better, because we know that obviously the starting lineup gives you more points. So let me give you an example of a starting lineup. And this is a fictitious lineup. I just made this one up. Let me see if I can share it with you. So here's an example lineup. You had a lineup like this: Russell Wilson, CMC, Dalvin Cook, Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, Darren Waller, Mike Davis in the flex, and then Koo as your kicker. Everyone's going to say that's a pretty good starting lineup. That's a great start. You're on your way. But what if you could do this? What if you could trade Mike Davis and CeeDee Lamb for a top 6 wide receiver? So I don't think Lamb is quite there yet. He's top 15. I don't think he's a top 6 wide receiver. What if you're able to trade Mike Davis, CeeDee Lamb, top 6 wide receiver, and then you have that extra depth where you're able to slide somebody like James Robinson into your flex spot? Would you do that? Because I don't think you're losing anything. You might be gaining something by putting Robinson over Mike Davis. So I would do that deal. If you're getting a player like Calvin Ridley or Terry McLaurin in return, I think that's a no-brainer deal for me. And that's an example trade of what you can do to, upgrade your team, upgrade a position while losing a little bit of depth probably. We don't know who's going to replace James Robinson on the bench scoring, but at some point it doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, you're not going to get in those 25% points, but you're still going to be getting something. You're still going to have a player to slide in, and hopefully they can, get you some percentage of what Robinson would have gotten you on that bench. Let me stop that screen so you can see me a little better. So those are just examples of what you can do. Obviously, it depends on how much salary you're giving up, how much salary you're taking back. That's kind of the crux of Dynasty Owner. I get that. But a player with low salary for 1 year like Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin, or even another player that's going to be coming up on a big contract in 2022, you take on that this year, you're setting yourself up for this year to really make a run for it. And that's what the winner is going to have to do. That's what both teams in the past have done that have won the Chase for the Ring. So I'm going to show you another team. This is a team that actually exists. This team has pretty much sold its soul away for this season, and that's, like I said, that's not what I would suggest doing, but that's what you do if you're really trying to compete for the ring. So this team has been gutted of all non-essential players, other than their starting lineup and maybe their backup quarterback, which is another important spot because they get so many points. So this team has had the fat trimmed off of it. This team has also has 77% of their salary cap tied up in their starting lineup. So that's an incredible amount just having your starting lineup, leaving hardly anything, 23% for your bench and your practice squad. So I'm going to share the screen with you and give you a look real quick at this team. And there it is. You can read through it, but I'll give you the starters: Mahomes, CMC, Eckler, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Darren Waller, Sam Ficken. And then really on the bench, the only thing worth noting is that Josh Allen is the backup quarterback. So very impressive. But it's thin. I mean, you can tell, especially when you sacks. Wide receivers aren't too bad. It's not bad, but practice squad is very thin. It's a very cheap practice squad, and even bench really for that matter. So issues with this team, there's no doubt that there's issues. Aside from it being a very stout starting lineup, are thin at running back, so thin that we got Benny's point scoring position. That's not what anybody wants. There's probably not a starting quarterback behind the top two quarterbacks. Drew Lock's probably not going to get it done if either one of those get down, or even on the bye weeks. He's probably not even going to be the starter by the time we roll around to those two bye weeks. So this owner has a single kick, kind of that's an easy fix, but single kicker, it's going to help you for that bench scoring or when they're on bye. And then this team is pressed up against the salary cap, right at $100 million. So not much wiggle room. And as I said, there's not much the practice squad. All the practice squad is low salary. So who are you going to trade? What big salary is going to be able to trade to open up salary? I'm not sure it's possible. So you really hamstring. Once stays healthy, it's a big but. It's a big if. It's possible this team can make a run. Better than most, as good as anybody has a chance, I would say. So, but there's a lot of good on this team as well. So they got two top three quarterbacks. That's a major plus. This is, like I said, this team has as good as any shot. Additionally, so this is the way I would look at it when I'm trying to build my team. If I'm looking for the ring, you're going to need probably two of the top three quarterbacks, maybe top five, two of the top 10 running backs, two of the top 5 wide receivers, and a top 3 tight end. So it's easy enough to predict. Like you can acquire all those players and be like, well, this is set up projection-wise to be like that, but you never know. I mean, injuries and just how players underperform, how other players overperform. You just got to stay low. Keep trying to compile as many points as you can, and you're even going to guess wrong. When you put a starting lineup together, you're going to guess on which player is going to overscore or underscore others, and you're going to be wrong sometimes, and those are going to hurt you for sure. So a lot of it's going to come down to luck on who's picking the right players and what's going on. So anyway, I digress. We're going to talk about one player today from the Dallas Cowboys, and that's Michael Gallup. So Gallup, he's been kind of a forgotten player this year, really past couple of years. He's one of the least talked about top 40 wide receivers from 2020. Let's talk about him. So Gallup, he was drafted by the Cowboys, 3rd round of the 2018 NFL draft. He was the 81st overall pick, 9th wide receiver taken off the board that year. At that draft position, he earned himself 4 years, right at $880,000 per year. So he's in the final year of that amazing contract, amazing value contract. And over the past couple of years, he's been replaced, fantasy-wise at least, with more talent players. We obviously have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb coming in. Buster, the Gallup once had away. I'm not going to tell you Gallup will never be viewed. He might not ever be viewed the same way he was in 2019. He might be, he might not. But either way, he's still going to return value for dynasty owners, at least for the 2021 season until he gets a new contract. Let me show you how we compare peers here. We're just doing a simple dynasty evaluation. So he's right in the middle there, and all 5 of these players are kind of in the top tier of value, and that's just because they all have low salaries and medium low production. So like I said, Gallup ranks to the top. It's expected dirt cheap salaries we have here. Middle of the road to upper road production, obviously A.J. Brown and think Deontay Johnson even last year, Terry McLaurin, they're all upper road, top tier production with dirt cheap salary. So that's your recipe for getting a great value player. So I'm going to take that away. You can see Gallup is he's not likely to finish as wide receiver 1. It's going to be very unlikely given who he's got around him, all the mouths to feed. With Dak, you never know, but it would take something, probably an injury to one of the receivers to make that happen, and I just don't see that. I'm not going to predict that. He may not even finish as a wide receiver 2. But what he's going to be productive enough to be a bench wide receiver and possibly, depending on the matchup, slide into your wide receiver starting lineup. So he's an amazing value. He's not gonna hurt you. There's no way with that salary that he's gonna hurt you on the season. He's gonna be a very solid bench wide receiver for the rest of the season until he gets a new contract. He's also a considerable value when you consider his current ADP. So he's going right around the middle of the 8th round. While that's fair value, sure, it's fair. I mean, he's not gonna be a wide receiver 1, like I said, in all likelihood. So. But I would still be happy to take him there. You're getting a solid receiver who, on some weeks, will be able to jump up to that, wide receiver 1 class. It's probably not going to happen often, but he has a chance to be a top 12 wide receiver on any week. You're getting that, but you're also getting the floor that he has. His floor is going to be right about 8 to 10 fantasy points, which is going to be good enough for your bench. And like I said, with that salary, it's not hurting you at all. It's only helping you. So. That's pretty much all I want to talk about today. I appreciate everybody tuning in and listening. I'll go ahead and read my article that pairs with this. It's going to help you out, give you a little bit better of an understanding of what I'm trying to talk about here, and I'd break it down a little bit further in depth when you actually read it. So I appreciate it. Everybody take